Once upon a time in the Gowanus area of Brooklyn in New York City, there was a museum called the Museum of Morbid Anatomy, and they launched an event the likes of which I'd never seen, and it was called an Oddities Market. And this market was filled with oddities and curiosities like the macabre jewelry of Purevile, whimsically mounted insects and peculiar pickled critters, all manner of wonderfully weird artisanal crafts, and of course, skulls, skulls, and more skulls. You may remember from episode 9 of Gothic Homemaking that at that market I got this amazing gauntlet by Purevile. The Morbid Anatomy markets were a huge success. Now, I love stuff like this, and if you watch the Lair Voltaire, you know that this place is completely full of oddities and curiosities and macabre art. But I was a bit puzzled, because oddities and curiosities are pretty obscure stuff. What created such an interest in this, that this market could be such a success? The answer may lie in who was vending there. There were familiar faces from the Science Channel show Oddities, like Evan Mickelson, owner of the store Obscura, as well as co-owner Mike Zone, who was signing autographs for his fans. Show regular Ryan Matthew Cohen was exhibiting as well. If you watched the Oddities show, some of you may remember a younger, longer-haired me buying a brain slice on that show. Well, if the Oddities show was the reason that these markets were so popular in New York City, then it may come as no surprise that when the Museum of Morbid Anatomy shut its doors, the torch was picked up by Mike Zone, who started the Obscura Oddities markets, and Ryan Matthew Cohen, who has since organized several Oddities flea markets. And the disease seems to be spreading, because there's now a reoccurring Oddities market in Jersey City, New Jersey as well. I attended their Till Death Do Us Part St. Valentine's Day market at the majestic Cathedral Hall in Jersey City. There I ran into my friends from Dellamorte and Co who were selling their amazing resin statues. I also picked up this lovely pine marten skull from Death Couture. These Oddities markets are a great place to find amazing items for Gothic homemaking. Last December, I went to another one of Ryan Matthew Cohen's Oddities markets here in New York City. Take a look. It was a creepy holiday market in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, where all of the spooky kids went to find pentagram and coffin-shaped bath bombs from Witchbaby, and gorgeous macabre jewelry from the talented artists at Blood Milk. As usual, there was no shortage of skulls and bones, wet specimens, taxidermy, and full articulated skeletons. I took a stroll to the booth of Mark Splatter. There I picked up some of his amazing silk-screened patches. Next it was off to Divya's booth, Friends Forever, and from her collection of whimsical creatures I found something truly perfect for the Lair. A duckling that was two-headed and purple. Up on the third floor at the booth of Le Feminois, I found something truly wonderful. A coffin-shaped eyeglass case. And from the enigmatic and talented Murray twins, I purchased these beautiful art prints that are as adorable as the brothers themselves. And all the while at the main attraction, the booth of Ryan Matthew Cohen, Ryan communed with the one and only Krampus.
So Krampus, yeah. What do you think about it in the morning when you wake up? Children.
I bet you do, Krampus. Well, I would have thought this Oddities Market phenomenon was limited to the New York City area, but oh no, the virus is spreading. Last spring I had reason to visit the Thorn and Moon Magickal Market in Houston, Texas, held at the amazing Avant Garden. I entered that enchanted gateway and found all manner of wonderfully witchy wares at the booth of Thorn and Moon that was presided over by these delightful witches. Dr. X Atelier was selling these adorable graveyard ornaments. Under this gorgeous roof there were authors and illustrators and purveyors of mounted insects, like Red Scale, whose mounts I find to be exceptionally sleek and elegant. Cassie Creep had mounted critters and these amazing snake wet specimens that I did not expect to move. But it did. Ugh! There was a tent for tarot readings and a group offering a session of goth yoga. And meanwhile, upstairs, some fool was singing songs about brain slices to the spoopy children.
Whoa, hello, boy, don't be shy. Step right up on a reasonable guy. Don't be frightened by the look in my eyes. Just a average evil meteor from out of the sky.
Okay, so there's Oddities markets in New York, New Jersey, and Houston. But that's gotta be it, right? Well, apparently not, because when I was interviewing Brian Wiseman in Dallas for the Decorating with Insects episode, I asked him about this t-shirt he was wearing. Apparently there's a couple in Tulsa, Oklahoma called Michelle and Tony, and they put on a little thing called the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. Having had success with it in Tulsa, they decided to expand. They were doing one in Chicago, so Miss Amy and I decided to make the journey to check out their quaint little Midwestern fair. And so it was off to the airport.
Well, it is 8 in the morning. We left the Underworld Goth Club at 4 a.m. Are you ready to go to Chicago? Me too either. Let's do it.
Now anyone who knows me knows I only fly American Airlines. But before heading to the gate, we popped into the American Airlines Admirals Club for some tea and crumpets. And by that, I mean coffee and bagels because New York, fool! A short while later, we were on board, comfortable, and ready to take off, and perhaps more importantly, get the only sleep we'd be getting that day. We arrived at the Odeum Expo Center in Chicago at 11 a.m. to find a massive line. Once inside the Oddities and Curiosities Expo, we found the place to be enormous and already packed. They had freak show performers, which is cool and unusual for an oddities market, as well as some of the usual suspects like skulls, wet specimens, animals that were stuffed, and, well, stuffed animals. I ran into some familiar vendors like Death Couture, who was selling macabre jewelry, as well as mounted death's head moths like these. I also saw my pal Dreaded Genocide, from whom I got this adorable spooky bat pillow. I also saw old favorite Madame Moth, whose work you've seen on this show. From her I bought this gorgeous moth. We found some new favorites too, like Creaky Crow from St. Louis, Missouri, and Blood Brood Effects for their amazing taxidermy gaffs and props. The art of Price Jones, who makes incredible bone art and skull-filled shadow boxes. From his booth I picked up this mounted bird skull for Amy. We saw novel lighting ideas by Studio 6287. And from Gypsy River Witch I picked up 3 bags of bones. I think these will really come in handy. But the vendor that really stole the show for us was Zachariah Messiah's Morbid Curiosities. He had one of the coolest presentations I've ever seen for tentacle wet specimens, as well as wonderful snake wet specimens, mounted arachnids, and honestly, some of the most novel and elegant presentations I've ever seen for taxidermy. In short, Amy and I were completely blown away by the scope of this show. It was so massive, it honestly felt like we were at San Diego Comic-Con. In fact, the show was so huge that I was still shopping from the show after returning to New York City. You see, when I was editing the footage, I saw this item that I'd filmed and thought, how the hell did I not buy that? And then I saw the price tag and thought, is that really only $125? Luckily, in a shot of one of her other items, I caught a glimpse of her business card. So, I reached out to her via her Etsy page, and luckily for me, the piece was still available. So I bought it, and she mailed it to me. Look at this thing, it's amazing! It's like it was made for the Lair. It has all of the key design elements in the Lair. It's got a black branch motif, bones, bats, ornate woodwork, and even the background looks like pressed ceiling tiles. Even the color scheme is the color scheme of the Lair. And if that's not enough, check this out. It lights up. It is just completely amazing. It's the perfect piece for the Lair. Well, as you can see, Oddities flea markets are a great place to find amazing items for your spooky home. And you're in luck, because there's a bunch of them coming up. Take a look. There are Oddities and Curiosities Expos coming to New Orleans on August 18th, Denver October 6th, Atlanta November 3rd, and Austin, Texas, November 24th. Ryan Matthew Cohen is expanding to Los Angeles. His Los Angeles Oddities Flea Market happens September 29th. And Jersey City Oddities Market has an event on October 13th called the Living Dead Market. I will leave links for all of those events in the video description below, and if you know of any Oddities markets that I missed, please leave them for me in the comments below. In the meanwhile, I'm going to continue going to Oddities markets, and I guess people will just keep on asking me what I did with that brain slice from the show Oddities. I'll never tell. Until then, keep it odd. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe so that you'll never miss another Gothic homemaking video. Full episodes of Gothic Homemaking can be seen right here on the Lair of Voltaire.